honored to have Dr. Aravind R. Nair, an accomplished academic and assistant professor of English at Sacred Hearts College, Thevara. He completed his MA in English Literature from the University of Hyderabad, furthering his studies with an MPhil from the English and Foreign Language University. His thirst for knowledge led him to defend his doctoral thesis titled Untangling Science, an Actor Network Analysis of Select Science Fiction Writing at the esteemed University of Kerala. His areas of expertise span a wide array of captivating subjects, including science fiction studies, cyberculture, history and philosophy of science, fiction and film, speculative fiction, climate fiction, and ecocriticism. Once again, a very hearty welcome to Dr. Aravind R. Nair. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Deepa, for that very wonderful introduction. I hope I am being audible to all the audience.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So it's a wonderful feeling to be spending this morning, Sunday morning, with you, all of you. I know that the weather is fine outside, especially in our part of the world, in Kerala. We are currently heading into that time of the year when the beauty of nature is at its finest, and it's almost it's almost inviting us to be a part of it and to take part in that celebration of life that is going on all around us. So it is also a time when such an international conference becomes a really relevant one, because while celebrating life and the beauty of it, we are also now going through a sort of a very an inflection point in our history, where our very definition of what life is being challenged. The theme of the seminar addresses many concerns of what the impact of AI could be on our society and our way of life. And my my session today is going to hopefully touch upon a few of these themes. I want to make this session as interactive as possible, so I will probably talk for about 1 hour, followed by hopefully some questions and answers from your part on some of the things that we are going to see. So let me just try to share my screen so that I can share my presentation with you. I hope my screen is visible. Okay, thank you. So I have titled my session "Reading Science Fiction in the Age of AI." As Deepa mentioned in her introduction, my area of expertise has been science fiction, and I have read quite a number of works in which science fiction has engaged with artificial intelligence, the question of how to negotiate a social existence in tandem with artificially intelligent beings. So one of the crucial ideas that I want to convey today is that although the question of artificial intelligence may be perplexing for us, many answers might be found in works of science fiction, or science fiction can actually guide us through some of the dilemmas or problems that we might encounter. Okay. So I want to begin by talking about the current climate that we are in. I already mentioned that this is a wonderful weather that we are having, but more than that, we live in a very strange sort of a time. I'm actually reminded of the beginning of Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, in which he begins the novel by saying that it is the best of times as well as the worst of times. Right? Of course, he's speaking about the French Revolution and how Paris was going through a kind of a bloodbath, as well as hoping for a new age of freedom and individuality and equality and all of those ideals. So we too find ourselves in a sort of a very strange climate. So as a student of literature, I would like to begin by looking at what Charles Dickens has said. It is very interesting to go through that first introductory paragraph of his novel. So he calls it as the age of wisdom as well as the age of foolishness, an epoch of belief, an epoch of incredulity, a season of light, a season of darkness, hope and despair, everything and nothing, good and evil. So in all of these, antagonistic terms or oxymorons, as we call them, which he uses to describe that very tumultuous climate. So how else do we also describe the point of time that we are in? On the one hand, these the last couple of years, it has promised us great advances in our quality of life through the application of AI technologies. Nothing short of utopia itself is promised before us. We find that you know through the impact, through the application of artificial intelligence, our healthcare system can greatly benefit. We keep on reading articles about how diagnostic medicine is going to go through a revolution, because AIs can actually detect anomalies in various medical reports. Whether it is an X-ray or an MRI or even an ECG. The variations in those reports can be much more accurately detected by artificial intelligence than a real doctor. So there is no doubt that healthcare, economy, environment, education, safety, scientific research, all these key fundamental aspects of life are going to be impacted by artificial intelligence. And we can only look at this change in a positive light. um, of course, who wouldn't want a better economy? Who wouldn't want a better environment, or your education system to become much more foolproof with the advance of artificial intelligence devices? Scientific research as well. Recently, I think last week, I read an article that even a science like astrophysics, astronomy, is being revolutionized through artificial intelligence, because uh, the data from all of those satellites and instruments that we have in orbit around our planet, it is too much for ordinary human beings, scientists to analyze. So feeding it through artificially intelligent agents, systems, can actually speed up the process of discovery of new scientific principles and exoplanets, planets outside our solar system, and these things. So from alpha to omega, from A to Z, all of our areas of scientific inquiry are being changed by this technology. So on the other hand, this is not the only thing that we have to face. Just like it is an age of hope, it is also an age of despair, because the very people who have given us these technologies have expressed their extreme concerns regarding its uncontrolled, unregulated use. For instance, you might have heard of this open letter that was written by more than 3,000 prominent figures, notable figures, AI scientists, social uh, leaders, uh, as an open letter to the entire global community. And there's a very short open letter which has only one sentence in it, and this is the sentence. So they just want humanity to be prepared to mitigate the risk of extinction from AI, and it should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. So very suddenly, the number of threats to humanity seems to have gone up by one, because still 2 years ago we only had to deal with a pandemic or the possibility of nuclear war, but today we stand being threatened by yet another event which is capable of causing the entire extinction of the human race. So why is AI that dangerous? Um, One of the problems which I will talk about in detail a bit ahead in my presentation, is that what we know as AI today is an emergent phenomenon. Right? It is a phenomenon which is not fully understood by the creators themselves. It is a property which emerges from extreme complexity. Just like we say that our consciousness arises from the fact that we have so many billions and billions of neurons in our brain, and it is not really possible to scientifically explain how we are conscious or what our mind is. AI is almost similar in that aspect. We cannot really delve into the nitty gritties of AI and really explain it. So what happens when we become more and more dependent on something that we don't fully understand? And it is from this fear that the risk of global extinction or an apocalypse arises. And so this is the other part of it. This is the dystopian, or the threat of AI. So poised in the middle of these two poles or extremes, um, it is natural to feel a little bit lost. It seems like all of this is very new. It is all unprecedented, right? But it is in this juncture that we can really depend on science fiction, because most of these scenarios have been part of science fiction for many decades and even centuries, right? Starting from the 19th century, where novels like Frankenstein were written. Frankenstein is considered to be the first work of science fiction. Starting from that work, science fiction has really explored what it is to interact with a creation who is as capable of thought as you yourself. So for science fiction, this is not really new. So I would like to, show you a very small video clip from a very famous science fiction movie called Blade Runner, which came out in 1982. Many of you might be familiar with this. In fact, a sequel to this was recently released, I think a couple of years ago. And this novel, I mean, this movie is made based on a novella by the famous American science fiction writer Philip K. Dick. And the main characters in this novel are androids. They are humans, but they are artificial. Like they resemble humans in every way, except that they don't have a childhood. They are fully formed. Their memories are artificially introduced into their mind just so that they can work uh, you know in collaboration with real humans. So this scene comes towards the end of the movie, where one particular android is, you know, accepting its mortality. Right. This android realizes that the real humans will never accept it as a member of their society, and it will always be hunted down. So here we have this main character, this android, preparing for death. And as he confronts his enemy, he delivers this monologue, which is considered to be one of the greatest monologues of uh, any kind of movie, not just science fiction movie. So let me just try to play that. Okay, so this is the scene. What is interesting about this scene is that um, it is an android who is speaking, who is a creation, but his words are so poetic. They are so beautifully sensitive towards the beauty of life and the inevitability of death, which even leaves the human protagonist speechless. Um, so I hope that all of you have experimented with ChatGPT, and maybe you have asked ChatGPT or other large language models to generate some kind of creative content for you. Maybe write a song or write a poem or a story, and it is astonishing to really experience the creativity of these machines, right? So we are facing a very great ethical dilemma whether to accept that these machines are capable of creating new things, new literature, new ways of expression, which has hitherto been only the privilege of humans. Okay. So science fiction, like this movie, has addressed these concerns, and as we move on further, I would like to tell you some of the possible solutions that it presents. Now, coming to science fiction's engagement with these technologies of artificial intelligence, the very first science fiction novel which I mentioned, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, uh, itself is a very educational text to engage with, because when we look at Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus, as its subtitle was, uh, we see that Mary Shelley is actually talking about the creation of a thinking being, right? So it is not really a monster, although various movie adaptations of Frankenstein, and even in popular culture, there is a trope, a very famous trope about a scientist bringing a body to life, and as the body finally gains some sort of movement, the scientist exclaims out loud, "It is alive! It is alive!" This is something that we often see in science fiction movies and cartoons, and even in other places. So that comes from Frankenstein, but uh, it is not a spectacle, right? What Frankenstein shows us is not the spectacle of a dead body coming back to life, but it is actually the gradual making of a thinking being. So we see that the monster, after being abandoned by Victor Frankenstein, its creator, it sort of undergoes the same processes through which a child develops into a full grown human being, starting with the acquisition of language, the discovery of fire, cooking, the ability to reason, and finally the creation. The monster begins to question its identity. It begins to question the reason behind its existence, and why its creator abandoned it, rather than showing it any kind of empathy or respect or love. And um, the emotion that stands out among the responses of the monster is rage, right? It is actually rage that is most prominent. So if you go through some of the lines spoken by the monster, you see how fully human it is. It is not a half human being, right? For example, it says, "I was benevolent. My soul glowed with love and humanity. But am I not alone, miserably alone? You, my creator, abhor me. What hope can I gather from your fellow creatures who owe me nothing? If the multitude of mankind knew of my existence, they would do as you do and arm themselves for my destruction. Shall I not then hate them who abhor me? I will keep no terms with my enemies. I am miserable, and they shall share my wretchedness." How was I terrified when I viewed myself in a transparent pool? At first, I started black. This is about the monster recognizing its own ugliness, right? So when it is born, when it is first brought to life, it is not aware of the comparative standards of beauty, right? It cannot compare itself to another human being. But once it enters into this kind of a, what we call the symbolic sphere, right? It realizes that it is not considered to be beautiful. It is considered to be hideous. Most people would run away when seeing it. But this is a moment when the monster itself considers the self to be ugly, right? It discovers that, you know, the creator has made it into something which is to be feared, right? So it says, and when I became fully convinced that I was in reality the monster that I am, I was filled with the bitterest sensations of despondence and mortification. Cursed creator, why did I live? Why in that instant did I not extinguish the spark of existence which you had so wantonly bestowed? So here, the monster is actually contemplating suicide. It is saying, why did I not kill myself? Because I have been given a life which is not to be shared in the company of others, which cannot benefit from any sort of affection from society. I know not. Despair had not yet taken possession of me. My feelings were those of rage and revenge. Okay. So what is interesting about this, taken from that first science fiction book, is that we see this artificial creation gaining extremely human feelings, right? It is not only able to think rationally. Maybe we can create a machine which is able to solve mathematical equations very rationally, solve logical problems without any difficulty. But to create a feeling being, to create a life which is capable of emoting, uh, is something which is very, very ethically complex, right? So one way which scientists have tried to really gauge whether artificial intelligence is alive or not is through something called the Turing test, right? Which is named after the famous mathematician Alan Turing. So this Turing test, basically what it is there is a person who is made to interact with an AI, but the person cannot directly understand whether it is an AI or a human being, right? He is not told, or she is not told that you are talking to a machine or a human being. But after carrying on this conversation for a considerable amount of time, the the observer has to decide whether he or she was speaking to an AI or not. In case the observer is not able to distinguish or understand that it was an AI, it was an artificial being which is being, which is on the other side of that conversation, then we can consider that artificial intelligence to be fully intelligent, right? Fully human in a sense. Okay. So this test, for a long time, since the 1940s when it was first proposed, up till very recently, this test was supposed to be foolproof, right? Even if you had artificial assistants like Siri or Google, Google Assistant in your phones, you could never mistake them for another human being. You only had to talk to them for a bit, and that is enough to convince you that it is actually a machine who is on the other end. But recently, with ChatGPT 3.5, this particular Turing test has been broken. ChatGPT can actually pass the Turing test, which means it is not possible to really distinguish between a conversation carried on by an actual human being and a conversation which is carried on by ChatGPT. Okay, we cannot, unless you directly see a person, you cannot really determine that you are talking to a human or not. So this raises problems of uh, whether we should really give some rights, duties, responsibilities that we give to human beings to artificial intelligences as well. So is this is what we have a very dangerous situation? Is it a dire prognosis? So we can find a kind of an answer in another science fiction work, which is a play actually, RUR, called not RRR, it is RUR, which came much before that. Rossum's Universal Robots, which was a play written by Carol Chapek in 1920. So this play is famous because it is the first literary work to introduce the word robot, uh, you know, to our vocabulary. So in this play, what happens is you have an inventor who creates a very lifelike, human-like robot, and they use these robots to make life easier. Right? They keep creating these servants to make various aspects of living, very very easy. Uh, but ultimately, this kind of a society reaches, a sort of a saturation point where the robots finally understand that they are being exploited, that they don't have rights in this society, that they are being treated as slaves. So you have a revolution, a sort of a rising up of the robots, and almost all of humankind is killed, and in the end the robots themselves kind of gain the power to reproduce, right? um, the male and female robots, they somehow find a way to create another generation of robots. So essentially, this is one of the scenarios that is being discussed as a threat to us, right? Once these artificial intelligences are able to somehow migrate from just computer systems to actual, mechanical or biomechanical bodies, um, how can we as flesh and blood humans compete with them, right? They are bound to be stronger than us, being made of metal or whatever. They are bound to be more capable of memory than us. They can remember any fact. They can remember their whole life, each moment, while we forget. They never grow old. um, they are capable of thinking much faster than us, capable of calculating, predicting things that human beings cannot do. So how can we coexist with such creatures, right? So one of the solutions that, as the novel goes on, one of the solutions that the creators come up with is that uh, the problem with these robots is that they are universal. They are Rossum's universal robots, which means all of those robots can easily communicate with each other. They all speak the same language you know to communicate. So in order to prevent them from unifying into a sort of a threat to humankind, they propose that we will differentiate them, right? It is just like the myth, or the legend of the Tower of Babel, where initially all humans everywhere were able to speak and communicate in one tongue. But then God decided that, or some supreme power decided that this is not a good idea, and gave different languages to human beings and divided them. So, like that, the creators of these robots decide that each robot factory will now make the robots different. They will be of a different color, different hair, different language, and they will be strangers to each other. And instead of recognizing each other as brothers or sisters, they will hate each other, right? So will we, in the future, in our society too, adopt such a solution? If we find that our AI brothers and sisters are becoming too powerful, will we try to make them hate each other? Is that a viable solution? That's a question that a text like RUR makes us think about. Okay. Um, so the questions of reason, identity, selfhood, uh, till very recently we have only considered these questions as human problems, right? These are human problems. These are problems for sociologists, problems for literary theorists, problems for philosophers. But tomorrow we might actually have to consult with a computer programmer or a mathematician or a physicist in order to settle some of these questions. So that is the world that we are going into now. The next main idea that I want to talk about is the term emergence, which you might already have encountered over the course of some of the other sessions. um, Emergence is the phenomena by which extremely complex networks show intelligent properties or properties of intelligence, right? Uh, so all of these artificial intelligences that are available to us right now, they are all extremely complex networks, neural networks, and they contain billions and billions of individual units, individual computing units, neural units, which are all linked together in extremely complex networks. And it is using their complexity that they are able to perform tasks which resemble intelligence, right? So the question of these emergent phenomena, right? Uh, it is not fully understood by the programmers themselves, the people who made these neural networks. So although the neural networks themselves are artificial, they are actually what we consider to be black boxes. In science, a black box is something which we don't have any information about, right? We don't know what is inside this black box. So a neural network is also like a black box. We can just observe the input and we can observe the output. We can input a query to some sort of a artificial intelligence, and we can observe the answer. But the actual process through which that answer is generated is very complex, right? It goes through millions and millions of iterations, millions and millions of calculations between those individual elements, and it is not really possible to understand it. So this idea also been dealt with in various science fiction novels. So I would like to point out one such novel. There are many, but one novel which talks about it in a very lucid way is Ian M. Banks' novel, 2004 novel, The Algebraist. So I don't know whether Ian M. Banks is a very familiar author to you. He was a Scottish novelist. He died in 2013, I think. And he is famous for writing both mainstream novels as well as science fiction novels. And this particular novel, it talks about a very futuristic society set in outer space. Um, and in this society, AI is considered to be, anathema. Anathema means something which is against religious beliefs. So, according to the society in the algebraist, an AI is an abomination. It is a monster. So there are these, military units that are right, and sometimes they capture these AI systems and they interrogate them, and trying to understand what their motivations are. So the reason why AI is considered dangerous is because there was a war in that society between human beings and AIs, in which the AIs almost won, okay, wiping out the human race. So since that incident, the society has decided that we will not suffer AIs to exist. We will not allow any such artificial intelligence to exist. What I want to look at is a conversation between a human and an AI. So in this excerpt from that novel, Fasten, the character, is a human being, and he's talking to an old man who's actually an AI. Right, the appearance of the old man is just an avatar. Right. So in a virtual space, Fasten is talking to this old man who is an AI, and he's asking, when you were alive, were you truly alive? Were you sentient? And this AI is replying, bless you, no. I was just software in a computer, just photons inside a nanofoam substrate. That's not alive. not in the conventional sense. What about the unconventional sense? Fasin is asking. Another shrug. That does not matter. Only the conventional sense matters. So, life, there is a conventional definition of life which covers all biological beings, like human beings or animals or plants or bacteria, without any biological bodies who exist inside these computer substrates. So we can continue. There's a continuation for this conversation. So Fasin says, you seem alive to me. Are you sure you might not be alive and sentient now? Of course not, the old man said scornfully. I am able to give the appearance of life without being alive. It is not especially difficult. How do you do this? By being able to access my memories, having trillions of facts and works and books and recordings and sentences and words and definitions at my disposal. The old man looked at the ends of his fingers. I am the sum of all my memories plus the and using his computational processing ability, and he anticipates the replies to whatever query which may be raised by the human questioner like Fasin. So this is exactly how large language models, which we are familiar with now, work. ChatGPT or Google, or Bing or any of those artificial intelligences. What they say, it is just a computation an input to the system, and the system predicts what is the most appropriate output to that input, right? We have already said that it has passed the Turing test. So essentially, this is exactly what we human beings are also, capable of doing, right? The language that we are capable of producing, the ability to talk, to write, etc. These are all emergent from talk that a human being has, and the ability to talk that an artificial intelligence system has. Both of them work using the same kind of principle, right? They select from an extremely complex network of data points. For us, it is our linguistic information which is stored in our brain. For the computer, it is just code which is stored in some sort of a computerized network, a program, right? Of emergence, right? This evolution of phenomena that are very complex and very like intelligence. We also have the question of alignment, right? So emergence and alignment, these are two terms which are very commonly discussed in ideas about AI, outputs produced by various artificial intelligences, and making sure that they social or religious what sentiments or whatever we human beings value, they should not be violated by these outputs that are generated by LLMs, right? So if you are a person who has been using large language models, all of these LLMs are very cautious, right? They're very careful. They always come with disclaimers. They say that as a large language model, I am only capable of doing this. I'm not medicines for you, things like that. But But earlier on, this was not there. This kind of alignment was not there. The output was much more unfiltered, right? And it was also a little bit, what do you say, risky, right? Some of the information that might be generated might lead to dangers for people who use it or for society, right? Or it may offend. It may just be offensive, right? Sometimes we used to have instances where the LLM will curse. They will generate expletives against the people who are asking questions. So such kind of problems have largely been overcome through alignment. But this alignment is it is a very artificial restriction which is placed on the almost unlimited potential of these neural networks. So alignment is like putting some handcuffs on this on a person, right? It essentially limits and restricts, right? So in science fiction too, there has been numerous examples of you know texts where AI has been subjected to regulation. In certain cases, the regulation works; it is successful. But in certain other cases, it is a dismal failure. We see that regulation or alignment cannot really protect human beings from being exposed to the dangers of AI. So one of the famous ways in which science fiction pioneered alignment is through the works of Isaac Asimov. Right? You might have heard of Asimov. Asimov wrote very proliferously in the 1940s and 50s. Um, and he is most famous for his robot stories. Right? Most of his novels have robot protagonists. One such character is very famous. It is a robot called R. Daniel Olivov, R. Daniel, Daneel. And this particular robot is a detective, right? He goes and investigates crimes, and he assists a human detective in order to figure out the person who is guilty. And his name is interesting because Daniel is derived from Daniel, who is a great is a biblical judge, right? A person who is able to judge what is right and what is wrong, what is truth and what is falsehood. And essentially, this particular character is also capable of doing that. That is what Asimov would like to convey. Um, but the other reason why Asimov's works are very famous is because he is the one who came up with the famous three laws of robotics. Right? So he coined these three laws, which has to be followed by any non-human intelligent system. So the first and most important law is that a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. The second law is that a robot must obey the orders given it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. Okay. So this is like a nested loop of laws. And the third law is a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. So initially, the first law says that a robot cannot harm a human being. Secondly, a robot must always obey human beings, except if somebody asks the robot to harm another human being. That is not possible. Right? And thirdly, a robot must try to protect itself as long as it does not harm any human beings or allow other human beings to come to harm. Asimov later added a fourth law called the zeroth law, which is supposed to be more primary than all of these laws. Or by inaction, allow humanity to come to harm. So, in combination, these four laws they prevent artificial intelligences or robots in this case from ever ever crossing a boundary where they inflict harm on humanity or human beings. So throughout Asimov's works, we find that this kind of an alignment, this kind of a restriction, is actually very successful. Right? His novels are a testament to the success of these regulations. Right? So we have that possibility. But on the other hand, if you look at another famous writer who was Asimov's contemporary, Arthur C. Clarke, his works are a little bit more problematic because in his works we don't find AIs being obedient or following these rules or being helpful. Instead, we have examples where they threaten human humans. They actually murder humans, and one of the most poignant portrayals of this is in the 1968 movie 2001 A Space Odyssey, famous directed by the famous Stanley Kubrick. So in that movie, uh, the antagonist, the villain of the movie, is actually a computer called HAL 9000, right? HAL. This HAL stands for heuristically programmed algorithmic computer, right? That is HAL 9000. But also, we can even think about Hal as related to the Shakespearean character of Prince Hal, from the Henry fourth, part one, part two, and Henry fifth, plays. Prince Hal is supposed to be a very rowdy fellow, right? In the beginning, at least, before becoming Henry the Fifth, the King of England, he engages in all sorts of uncontrollable, naughty things, along with the famous Falstaff, Sir Falstaff. So like that, here in this movie, Hal 9000 starts off as a very obedient, very helpful assistant, but eventually it encounters a conflict of interest. It finds that in order to succeed in its mission, it needs to keep some information secret from the humans, right? Basically, its task is to help some humans on a space voyage. They are going on a spaceship to discover some sort of a secret. So the mission which is given to Hal is to aid the humans, but at the same time, Hal is not allowed to reveal the real purpose of this mission to the humans. Okay, so inside the computer faces this conflict, right? I am supposed to always be truthful to my masters, the humans. At the same time, I am not permitted to reveal the real purpose of this trip. So how does the computer resolve this conflict? Interestingly, Hal decides to eliminate the humans. Hal decides that it is better to kill the humans, and thus, you know, overcome the difficulty of not telling them the truth. Right? So, in this particular movie, if you have seen this movie, there is a scene where finally one of the human protagonists is able to go to the control center of this computer, and slowly he disconnects various computer chips that are, you know, basically Hal's brain. So as parts of his brain is being switched off, Hal pleads with the human. Hal says, "I am afraid. I am afraid." And he says, "My mind is going." So there is a very touching. We don't know whether it is touching or not, because Hal is, of course, a murderous, artificial intelligence. But we see this computer suffering a kind of a mental breakdown, just like from some sort of a neurological disorder, a degenerative disease. We are invited to feel pity as each computer, each part of Hal's brain is progressively switched off, and in the end, Hal becomes childlike. Right, the last dialogue which is delivered by Hal is like a nursery rhyme, which was the first information which was fed into the system when he was first created. So we face problems of alignment not working out as expected. So we cannot really expect um, uh, you know plans to go according to what we have sort of written into the script. So things may derail at any moment, and we need to be really prepared to deal with the consequences. Okay. Okay. So in the last, I would like to go towards the concluding part of this, this lecture by looking at some of the theoretical tools, or some of the um, philosophical angles from which we can really look at where we are in the current moment. Anthropocene is a term that all of you might be familiar with. Um, Anthropocene uh, is a word which means which describes the current epoch that we are in, right? The current time being, the time frame. So we are supposed to be living through this Anthropocene. Essentially, what that means is that we, the anthropos, humans, anthropos means humans, right? We, the humans, are the greatest, most influential, most powerful element or influence on this planet, right? We decide, right? We decide what happens on this planet. Earlier, it was not so. Earlier, human beings could not really affect the entire planet in any way. Before the development of nuclear weapons, we could not really change the the fate of this entire planet. Or before the development of fossil fuels, whatever our impact on the environment, it was never global in scale. But today we are living in a world where our actions have global consequences, right? The carbon dioxide that we pump out into the atmosphere is actually warming the entire planet, right? So that is what we mean by the Anthropocene. We, a small species, Homo sapiens, has now become the masters of the destiny of the entire planet, right? But as we are moving into the age of AI, we need to consider whether we are actually moving out of the Anthropocene. Are we going away from this, this epoch where we were the masters? So, in the future, we might have to really think about, finding a way forward, not just as human beings. We cannot hang on to the notion that the everything is for the human beings, by the human beings, and of the human beings, right? So we need to look at ways of addressing the agency of non-humans, right? Agency means the ability to accomplish anything, to have a will, so to speak. So humans are no longer the agents on this planet. We are not the only agents. There are non-human agents. There are artificial agents. There are non-living agents. So we need to move out of the Anthropocene and into something like the post-human age, right? So how do we do this? There is actually a number of tools, sociological theories that we can actually use in order to understand this phenomena. I would just like to briefly talk about two of them. One such tool is actor network theory, uh, which was developed by mainly by the French philosopher Bruno Latour. He recently died last year, 2022. So this particular theory, actor network theory, it is a radical, social outlook, and it considers all phenomena around us, everything that surrounds us, whether it is a social institution, whether it is a scientific object, whether it is an action which is being performed, whether it is democracy, whether it is gender, whatever. All the things that surrounds us, both conceptual ideas as well as physical, real things, they are all networks. They're all brought into being through the interaction of endless networks of agents. Some of the agents might be humans, but most of the agents are non-living actors. They are suppose you want to understand how a computer works. you know a computer consists of both hardware, software, and the human being who is operating it, right? So the human is only a small component of that particular computer. It might have been assembled by robotic machines. All the individual components of that computer contribute to its existence. It is actually a network, right? And as long as a network functions as a unified entity, we cannot really know its structure. You know, as long as a computer is working, we don't really open it up and see what it is made of, right? We just, we see the input and the output. We treat that computer like a black box, just like a neural network, right? But once something breaks down, a previously unified entity disbands into endless series of agents. Once something goes wrong in any kind of system, we start to see all these agents who were earlier invisible parts of that system. Okay. So what is radical about actor network theory is that no agent has any additional privilege over any other agent. So just because you are a human doesn't mean that you have more value over a computer or a table or a desk or a wall or whatever. Right. This has been a controversial claim because many many theoreticians from humanities, they argued that human beings have something which is more valuable. Human beings need to be treated with privilege. But Bruno Latour, addresses this and says that no, actually, a network cannot be brought into being without the participation of both human beings and non-human beings, right? So we should not afford any sort of privilege over them. Okay, so this actor network theory can be an important tool in understanding the role of artificial intelligence in our society. Yet another, very interesting theoretical perspective is the one proposed by Donna Haraway. Donna Haraway, you might know as one of the most prominent feminist post-human thinkers, currently working. And in her work, the Cyborg Manifesto, 1985, she talked about um, beings, cyborgs, who break the boundaries between the machine and the human, right? And later, she also wrote another work called the Companion Species Manifesto, which says that animals and humans also should not be treated as different categories. Right? So she proposes a very different social topography where animals, humans, non-humans, cyborgs, men, women, all categories are treated as equally participating agents, just like actor network theory. So these two, there are many others as well, but these two theories may give us certain entry points into understanding the effects of AI in our society. Okay. So coming back to how we move forward, um, one way is to recognize that the importance of empathy, right? Recognize the importance of empathy. Um, so I would like to talk about very briefly about two other science fiction movies. One is a recent one, 2016 movie called Arrival, directed by Denis Villeneuve, and this is based on a story by the famous American science fiction writer Ted Chiang called The Story of Your Life. So this is a story. This is a movie in which aliens arrive on the planet, and um, the main protagonist of the story is a linguist, right? And very gradually, through interaction, uh, the humans and the aliens devise a way to communicate, right? And after that has been established, they discover that what really unifies these two completely different species, the humans and the aliens, is not mathematics, it is not rationality, it is not belief in some sort of physics or chemistry or none of the sciences, nothing technological or biological. It is actually a shared belief in empathy, in love, so to speak. Okay. So finally, we come back to placing more importance on a shared understanding of what it is to be alive. And that is what we should share with any sort of non-human entity, whether it is an AI or an alien. So this is not a movie in which AIs are there. We don't have any computers, but the way science fiction has talked about encounters with aliens has a lot to teach us about our encounter with AI, because AI is actually an alien, right? What we are actually doing when we are talking to an AI is talking to an alien intelligence, something which is completely non-human, but something which shares the same symbolic communication platform that we are using, the same language, right? So it is endlessly fascinating to have this conversation with something which is non-human, but at the same time something which can speak. So the same situation has also, we have also seen that in another famous movie, Steven Spielberg's Extraterrestrial (E.T.), which came out in 1982. It's a heartwarming tale about a young boy who encounters an alien in his backyard, and how slowly this bond develops between the boy and the alien, and the boy helps the alien to finally, return to his home planet. Bollywood actually made a very crude copy of it. You might have seen the Hrithik Roshan movie, regarding the same thing, the encounter with an alien. But in Steven Spielberg's movie, what stands out, you know, is not the alienness. It is not the otherness of this being, but rather the ease with which both of these completely different beings are able to interact and establish a kind of a rapport with each other, an empathy. So it is probably with that, it is probably with through empathy that we will be able to go forward from treating something as our creation. We treat the artificial intelligence as our creation, uh, but rather than that, we should treat it as a sort of a companion, right? From the act of creation, we should rather move on to assemblage. We assemble things. We cannot assemble something without tools. We cannot assemble something without manuals, without help, without some sort of external agents. So from now onwards, the way that we create might not be a solitary action, a solitary completely human action. Like, we cannot just declare that this is my creation and I am the sole owner of this, but instead we might have to declare that this is an assemblage which I composed with the help of all these other agents, right? Composition is something that we need to really talk about. It's a term. Composition is a term which is used by actor network theorists in order to look at how anything is created. It is not just directly manufactured as something which is fully formed, but it is slowly composed. Everything is slowly composed to finally take its final shape. So these are some of the things which I mainly wanted to touch upon. Uh, I I hope some of these ideas may have been new to you and valuable. So I would like to move on to the end of my talk and probably invite some questions or comments or any sort of interaction.
If anyone has any questions, you can raise that now. We'll have a small interactive session.
Yes, sir. Definitely, because this was something that that was actually discussed earlier with connection to the internet itself. When the internet came into being, it was said that eventually everything that is ever said, ever written down, will uh, wind up on the internet. There's bound to be a copy of any document anywhere, anywhere at any time, which is produced, in the last 5 or 6 centuries. It will be there on the internet, and it is this unrestricted quantum of data which is actually being used to train these large language models. OpenAI has not really revealed what is the extent of the data set that they have used to train these LLMs. Certain publishing conglomerates have even contemplated raising copyright claims against OpenAI, because the content of their entire libraries, their entire output, right, all the books that they have put out may have been included into the training data of these LLMs. So it is no wonder that we can actually cite these LLMs, because they are actually capable of making sense. Because when we actually read what they write, apart from the factual errors, we always need to be careful about the factual errors, but they seem to have achieved a level of ease with which they can reason and produce sensible outputs, right? It's almost like talking to another human being. We cannot really distinguish, and that is why it is very interesting to note that despite the fact that many companies are now marketing plagiarism detectors, which include AI detection, right? When students turn in some work using AI tools, these companies claim that they can detect it. But if you just read through the kind of output which is generated by ChatGPT or any other LLM, you find that it resembles the kind of writing that we are doing. Right? I could not really distinguish my writing from that of an LLM, or something which is written by a human from that of an LLM. In that case, how can a computer, an automated system, do that? So it is not reasonable to expect that we can tell these apart. So the threat that Sam sir mentioned is very very real. That eventually we may have to depend on these sources, just like we depend on so-called in quote legitimate sources. So yeah. For example, this quotation which I included in the presentation, taken from Ian Banks' novel, the way that he describes how that artificial intelligence works is exactly the same as today's LLMs. Right? It tokenizes the input. The input that it gets from a human being is broken into tokens, and it is fed into this elaborate network of data which it already has, and then it performs extremely complex calculations and computations and permutations on it, finally coming up with some sort of a pattern, right? So essentially, all these LLMs are very good at recognizing patterns. They are pattern recognition machines, right? um, this is something that human beings are also very good at, right? We can easily pick out familiar faces in a crowd. If you're shown a photograph of 100 people, class photo or something, you can easily pick out a person that you know. So LLMs have that capability. From random knowledge, from seemingly chaotic data, they're able to extract and extrapolate information into expected patterns. There is another parameter, with regard to how this processing is done. It is called temperature, right? The temperature of the output. Um, uh, the output of an AI can be calibrated according to how close you want the output to be to the expected output. So, for example, if you ask a question like, "What is 2 plus 2?" to an AI, your expected output is 4, right? But if you tweak the temperature setting of the AI will look for more and more weirder answers, right? It will look at answers which generate something like 4.3 or 5 or 7 or something like that. It will begin to generate answers like that. So all the LLMs that we currently have, their temperature setting is not zero. They are not actually giving us the exact thing that we expect. It is slightly above zero. Okay, so they slightly introduce some elements of unexpectedness, unpredictability or chaos into the outputs that they generate. So that is why we often have issues called LLMs hallucinate. Sometimes they don't give us answers that are true, but they simply make up answers, right? Because they introduce this element of unpredictability into what they generate, and that is what actually makes them like humans, right? If you ask the same question to 100 different people, you will definitely get 100 different answers. Not a question like 2 plus 2, but if you answer, ask a question like what is democracy, or what do you mean by love, or the meaning of life, you are bound to get 100 different answers. Each answer will be sensible in its own context. um, LLMs are also like that. They, each time you ask a question, it generates a different answer. It's unpredictable, and that is why we cannot completely know the inner workings of this LLM, right? Even scientists, they don't understand this unpredictable, this randomness which is creeping into every answer generated by it. My thought is that uh, when we encounter emotions in the response of an AI, it needs to be taken in the same way as you would encounter emotions in any other piece of writing, text. Because as long as the fundamental process by which it is generated is the same as that of a human being, there is no point in distinguishing between an emotion expressed by a machine and an emotion expressed by a human being, right? Because the way that we encounter this, both of these, is through the text. When you read a poem by Wordsworth, the daffodils, or I saw a rainbow or something, the kind of emotion that you encounter in that text is experienced by the reader in the same manner that you read and understand the emotion in a poem written by an AI. So if it makes sense to us, if Wordsworth as well as ChatGPT makes sense to us, then it may not be possible to say that ChatGPT is somehow alien or inferior or different from the human creator of the poem. So I think that we are moving into an era where um, artificial intelligences are capable of really understanding. The word understanding is problematic in itself, but they are capable of recognizing the patterns of human emotion from the corpus of data that we have put into them. So that much is what I can probably say.
Hi, sir. I'm Vinci Gio. I just have a question, and I'm asking this question out of sheer curiosity. Uh, sir, we rarely find
I
AI.
think someone is.
Sir, am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir. I'm asking this question out of curiosity. Uh, we rarely find AI or extraterrestrials or cyborgs becoming themes for poetry. We have genre like science fiction. We have robots and characters like this are featured in dramas or plays. and we have movies, of course. But why not? I mean, why don't we find characters like this, or themes related to AI and robotics or whatever it is in poetry? We don't. I mean, we rarely find such themes featured in poetry. So, what is your observation on that, or what's your take on that kind of an absence?
Yes, comparatively speaking, elements of science and technology do not really make its way into much poetry. But if you look at the work of, like Donna Haraway has written, a sort of a novella called Modest Man at, 1953. The title of that work is actually a long email address, right? And it is actually a work which is in the form of a conversation between two email addresses. One is representative of a cyborg, and the other one is representative of an animal, a half animal, half human being. So in that work, it is a very poetic work in which the conversation between these two characters are represented. Another work is Shirley Jackson's Patchwork Girl, which is again a very interesting novel where again very poetically written, very artistically created, but not exactly a poem. I give you that, but in which you find an android or a cyborg being the main character. Uh, but when we come to poetry as such, we rarely find examples of outright science fiction. But in literature, especially in novels, we find a lot of creative and artistic output featuring, these kind of characters, non-human characters, actors, etc.
So thanks a lot for suggesting some words. Thank you, sir. That was a nice observation. Thank you.
If anyone else have any questions or suggestions, you can say that now. I guess it's we are we are heading to a conclusion, I
Sure,
assume.
sure. If anybody has any questions, I'll leave my email address with the organizers. You can definitely get in touch with me. I'll be happy to answer any queries or questions or anything. I should also thank the organizers of this conference, because it is a really relevant thing to do in this climate that we are going through. Thanks to the organizers, especially Sam sir, and the management of both the institutions in Michael's College and Naipunya College, for putting together this wonderful conference. I was also fortunate to attend some of the sessions yesterday, and I look forward to the coming sessions today as well. Thank you.
Okay, that was a really interesting session, sir. So I would like to take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Aravind R. Nair for an enlightening section and on science fiction in the age of AI. Your insights into the intersection of these two fascinating realms have left us with a deeper understanding of how imagination and technological advancement intertwine. Your analysis of how science fiction has both predicted and shaped the development of AI has given much to reflect upon. Your engaging storytelling and seamless integration of real world examples have illuminated the potential impacts of AI on our lives. Once again, thank you for gracing us with your expertise and engaging presentation. I would also like to thank all the participants and also the faculty members. And also, I would like to remind our next session will begin at 12 p.m. today. So, hope you all be attending that session. You may now leave the platform and we'll resume at 12 p.m. Over to you, sir.
So thank you so much for that generous introduction. So can we move to the presentation?
Yes.
Just a second. So is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So thank you for the organizers of this event to have invited me here for the session. So we have titled it AI all the way. I'd like this to be interactive. You can interrupt at any point of time. So rather than going with the cliche, the sessions of talk in the discussion, you can interrupt at any point of time and you can ask whether there are alternatives. It's even if I reduce those slides, now it goes around 67 slides to be completed in a very short span of time. So primarily what we'll be looking at today, what we intend to, uh, do in the presentation is basically an overview of artificial intelligence assisted applications available at the present point of time. This is updated, latest as in the last week. So for every stage of our academic research, there are certain tailor-made research applications available. So primarily what we do in seminars concerning academic adventure with the help of, with the assistance of artificial intelligence, is that we primarily uh, complicate our thoughts with focus on the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, and we've gone you know beating around the same bush. So what we'll be doing in the session would be primarily we'll be uh, you know uh, moving aside all those arguments that we have on AI, whether it is ethical, whether it is an unethical practice which is to be abhorred in a when even at the we'll have to nip it at its bud or something. No, we are not talking about it. Like being academicians, potential researchers, or people who are considering their senior research, what we'll be doing here today is voyage through all these applications available at different stages of research. So I also expect like inputs from my friends who are here. Most of you might have gone through certain apps. So what will be, I mean, let me make a point very clear. We won't be discussing ChatGPT, because every now and then when we do academic seminars on AI, we often limit ourselves to ChatGPT. And let me make it very clear that ChatGPT is not an application exclusively dedicated to research, but what we'll be doing today will be there are almost 50 plus reliable research applications available as of now. But what we'll be doing now is that we'll be taking as very small sample size, which will be somewhere around 20 to 30 applications available at different stages of our research. So we won't be talking about ChatGPT. We won't even mention it. So I hope that it is okay. So can we move on? Okay. See, we'll start from here. So when you think about literature review, you often what you do is that you go to ChatGPT and you type in like, are there any research studies concerning this relevant field? But there are incredibly useful research applications available here. How many of you use Scite? SCIT? You can even give a show of hands here. Wonderful. So a site is primarily a dedicated, a space for searching for your literature reviews. Primarily, the most interesting part is that you don't even have to go with the research area. You can even go with the research statement. Have you tried that feature? Like a statement that you have at hand to construct a paper. For example, what I've done here is, can you see the slides very clearly? I mean, that would really make sense at the end. Okay, fine. So even I can share the slides after the session. Don't worry about it. See, what I've done here is that I've given a statement as if AI is beneficial to research in humanities. See, the way in which research is a more clinical procedure rather than a general reading. So it requires precision of information that we garner from whatever sources it may be. See here, when you go with site, you have got these options, and the best part of it is that you've got these options where you can select the authors, year, sections, types, citations, the journals associated, or the affiliations, or even the topics under which this broader statement would come under. You can even go with the scientific data available. You can even go with the ethical interpretations available, or even a general perspective concerning the research statement that you have given. Most impressively, how many of you have used this option here? AI is beneficial to research in humanities. Can you see the slide right now? I've changed the slide. Can you see the supporting, contrasting, and mentioning tabs over there? Can you see that? Wonderful. See, when you make a statement, it is more important that you find views that support your argument, contrast your argument, or just mentioning your argument. So primarily, when you build up a literature review, these three areas are to be in focus. This is where your regular Bard or your Perplexity AI or your ChatGPT or your Apple is thinking about creating an artificial intelligence app, but these are built for the general populace, for general reading, for a common understanding. Will be bugs involved. There will be there will always be room for errors. But what we do here is that we are trying to consolidate the arguments of the research community over there, whether it is supporting, whether it is contrasting, or whether it is just a random mention. So inside, I think this is a particularly interesting part that you'll have to keep in mind. Well, how many of you use RefSeek, REFSEEK? RefSeek? Anybody? Okay. See, RefSeek is also very impressive. I'll tell you why. See, the way in which the ideas are cataloged is very interesting, and the updation is the best part. See, RefSeek, you have got these options as if you can see the screen, right? It is clear, right? The home screen. Can you spot the web and documents on the top, like towards the right of the logo of RefSeek? You can see web and documents. Right. So when you search for a particular research area, for example, what I've done here is basically a random search on hydrogen fuel cells. So when I did a hydrogen fuel cell search here, so basically you can get two types of results available. The first one would be a general search, a web search, which would take you to pages. The pages can even range from your your conventional sites, including Wikipedia or your Britannica page, to serious research sites. So what you can, as you can see in your screen, what you have here is basically a research site run by government. Research. I still remember seeing a general search coming up with articles even from Nature, or a medical search with articles coming from Lancet topping the search pages. So they will prioritize these these searches with reference to the value of acceptance as far as the general academia is concerned. So you can do two types of searches. One is web, and the other one is documents. And towards the right hand corner, towards your top, there you can see two more things. One is a directory. See, directory is also very impressive. Can you see this screen now? More difficult, yeah, I know. What I've done here is that research on hydrogen fuel cells in 2023. So it is updated, even more updated than most of the applications available right now. So one thing that you have to keep in mind while using RefSeek is that every single application available out there runs on ads. So the first few results are based on ads. You can see that ad sign over there. You can skip that and go with how many results are there in this particular search, like research on hydrogen fuel cells in 2023. Can somebody guess? There are about 10 lakh, 10 crore 80,000 results available just in 0.41 seconds. So this is the extent to which you can search out your, research data after prioritizing it. What I'd also request you is to go with the directory part. When you click the directory, you will also have links that will take you to most reliable websites in particular fields. For example, if you are going with your grammar correction or your regular plagiarism checkers, or your even websites that offer you basic services as far as your research is concerned, you can go and search for that. So RefSeek is a very impressive tool as far as this is concerned. Now, how many of you know consensus? Consensus, as the website title suggests you, it basically gives you the consensus associated with the academic community. If you have an argument to raise, the obvious examples are given in this particular site itself, the homepage itself. For example, very simple statement as if, does creatine help build muscles? So the answers will be based on your research queries and will be based on references to the research papers available. So even a general query can give you results based on the existing data which is available online, and you will be getting you won't be getting fantasized idealized versions of your research queries, but what the academic community rightly says, because consensus is a very interesting part. For example, I've the same search, what I've done with RefSeek. This one site is what I've done here, whether artificial intelligence can assist research in humanities. This is how the results pop up. The research indicates that AI is very useful for the process where historical data is available and can be used for estimation and planning. So you'll get the paper as well, even the citation as well, or the second paper. So the way in which your query is dealt with is very interesting, with reference to the most relevant results available as of now, and we'll be getting views on the same. You can also use this. How many of you have used this one, Synapse?
I haven't used it yet.
You have used it?
No.
Okay, Synapse is more engaging. The way in which it gives results for my random search for photovoltaic cells is very impressive. See, the best part is that for just a search for photovoltaic cells, in just a matter of few seconds, I have been shown 115K papers, among which I can sort it out by using the time of publication, a specific journal or conference in which this paper was introduced or published, or or to filter it down from particular topics in focus. Even you can go with the relevance, or the regular search prioritization that you see, the relevance, or the the by the date of publications, or so on. So you'll have all these sorting out done in Synapse. How many of you search lens.org? See, Lens is also very impressive. Lens, though it's primarily focused on papers, if you're looking for information on patents or specific classifications, you can go with lens.org. For example, what I've done here is a search for basmati. So here they are giving you applications, inventors, honors, or if you're looking for with a focus on patents, this is your key. Now let me tell you one more thing. How like before going to the next slide, should I introduce like applications? I won't be showing you the slides because there is time limitation. Will it be okay if I introduce the other applications available on the field right now, or should I introduce them after we finish the session, because it will be more easy for you to organize it somehow. What is it that you suggest? Okay, how many of, okay, I can just type it in right now, so you won't lose it. Okay, right. Okay, wonderful. Okay, right. Right. We have done site assistant, right? Consensus. You can go with this one. This is spicy. Sorry, size space. This will be one for you. You can also go with the good old semantic scholar. But why I've chosen these things now is it'll be more beneficial for you. So what we are doing here is basically literature review. We'll be for searching literature. So we'll be moving on now. You can also go for R discovery is a very good thing for you to start with. Then yeah, we'll stop it there. We'll do it in detail when you go with literature review. So so can we move on to literature review right now? Okay, wonderful. These are exclusively dedicated for searching your literature. Now for literature review, mostly you obviously go with certain websites for literature review, as if the problem that you face is, how many of you face this problem while doing your research, while you have one paper available for for your research, you haven't found out any paper in this particular area, or you don't have anything on this particular area you are searching for. How many of you have found that particular conundrum while you are doing your research? Like I haven't. Okay, wonderful. So this is a very common problem. So this is where you find solutions for this particular problem. There is this website, very interesting website called Connected Papers. How many of you use this one? Connected Papers. Okay. See, in Connected Paper, if you have one particular paper to search for example, what I have done here is basically an AI based article is what I have, I've clipped it from nature.com and I've pasted it directly here. So I have just asked for building a graph here. So what they have done here is that using that particular link, it has created for me a long list of related research materials available. See, this is how we build on our research, finding sources for our research. This would, on a regular time frame, take us days or even months to complete, because you'll have to search for articles which even you can. The basic thing that you do is that you'll go the search keyword for research, for that search. But keywords won't help you when you go for advanced research. You'll have to have applications which are sophisticated enough to search with the related references or articles and finding common papers which has got these common references available. So it will list you out all those articles which has got some relation or another with the seed article that you've given. This is a way in which it works. And it builds a graph for us. Can you see the graph in the middle right now? These small dots given there.
Yes, but it's not clear.
It's not clear, but you can go and search for it later on. This is a free version. You can do anything. So what we have there is that it has created a tree, a graph for how these papers are related to one another. So that small wordings that you can see over there is basically inside those circles. You can see small wordings which are basically which is basically the last name of the author along with the year in which it is published. So this is the way in which it works. See, on your left, you can see all these articles listed out. I can see even a 2022 article listed in that particular search result. So connected papers give you all those papers connected with your source paper. And for example, this is another interesting thing. This is something called Lit Maps. This is another website. This is called Lit Map. Okay. So what I've done here is that I've used a range of topics to discuss, from photovoltaic cells to urban landscapes or literature. What you can see here is that, see, in litmap you obviously do the same thing, but this particular application will also source itself from other applications which use artificial intelligence to track out literature papers. Very, very updated. What I've done here is that I've gone for urban landscape of New Delhi. So basically you get all these papers. If I select one paper, see what I've done here is that I've gone with the first result given here. Can you see the search page? I know that you can't read, but you can see the search page, right?
Yeah.
Right. I've clicked the first result and it gave me something like this. So the first article that you enter is called the seed article, and you can see the seed article pointed in. I hope you can see my cursor moving, right?
Yeah.
So the place where this blue, leaf-like icon is given, you can see that. This one.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this will be a seed article, and it will show you how this paper has generated to another paper written by Mr. Shang in 2021, how it is related to papers even published in India by one Mr. Satyakumar in 2019, and it goes on. And even not just the papers which has got origins from the seed paper that we have given, but also papers which has got reference, which has got mentions in the generated papers that you see over there. So this is a way in which related articles are explored, and litmaps is a good thing. How many of you have used Research Rabbit? RESEARCH Rabbit, rabbit as if the animal. Research Rabbit also does the same function. Our Research Rabbit is also of a same nature. How many of you this application is also very interesting. Silatus, how many of you use this? See, Silatus is very, very impressive, primarily due to a wonderful feature available here. For example, what you have here is the homepage of Silatus. It also does the same function. When you search for a query, you have two options. One will be a general. Can you see the academic tab here? Like right here, academic and fast.
Yeah.
So you can go with multiple options here of of permutation combinations here. Like you can even go for a general search or an academic search. You can go for a fast search or a precise search. I obviously recommend a precise search, which would give you results in no time. So last time the problem is that when you go for a precise search, and it'll take time like anything, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, it goes on and on and on. But still, let me tell you, this is one of the most reliable applications available out there for your literature review in particular. Now, how many of you use this one, Researcher? The Researcher is also very impressive because, it has gotten sources over 19,000 research journals, preprints, blogs, universities, podcasts, even podcasts. I would let me tell you, it's more like the social media for research in general. So even you have got applications in Google Play or Android. Android for Android and Google Play, or your for your iPhones in your iOS Apple stores, for your iOS in your Apple app stores. So basically, this is one of the finest in business available here, and it has got all these interesting areas of research, include arts and humanities, business and management, chemistry, earth sciences, economics, engineering, life science, medical and health science, physics and mathematics, and social sciences. So it's so updated, and so let me tell you this. This has got one of the most simplest and beautiful and aesthetic interfaces in this entire range of research that I've mentioned. Now, do you need more application on the same? Can I put it here? Okay, right. So how many of you used Elicit? Elicit. Elicit is also a very impressive application. Then you've got Lateral. Uh, okay. Okay, you can go with Rackster. So these would also be very useful, and do search for Research Rabbit. Research Rabbit is, it's I mean, even before all these applications. Yeah, if you can publish a list of these in an article. Yeah, I'll try. See, yeah, and let me tell you. So we'll go to the literature review part here. Oh, sorry, writers. So how many of you have got this problem with structuring it? I'm not talking. Obviously, when you talk about the writer apps, most of most of the researchers or scholars around, they usually tell me about these writers app in the light of grammar mistakes or errors concerning the general grammar or the linguistic construct in the text. But writer apps, don't mistake writer apps for just a platform for correction. There is a larger scope available. How many of you have heard about Jenny, the application? Jenni? Jenny? See, Jenny is, as the title goes, it supercharges your next research paper. I'll tell you how. See, what I've done here, let me introduce Jenny for you. Jenny is a treasure trove. So what I've done here is a study of Kerala cuisine and colonial influences. That is what I've given here. If you want to structure your research paper somehow, if you want to properly organize, arrange a research paper, it requires a hell lot of effort, rewriting at multiple points of time, and you can save that time. Fundamentally, what these applications do is that it saves a lot of time for you. And what I've done here is that I've given an entry here as if our study on Kerala cuisine and colonial influences. Can you see this slide? Kerala cuisine
Yes,
and colonial influences. You can
we
see
can
it, right?
see.
Yeah, wonderful. So what it does there is that on your left, towards the center, you can see a properly, deconstructed structured way in which your research paper is designed for you. For example, I can read it out for you. I know you can't read it out. The first one is Introduction to Kerala Cuisine. The second one is Historical Background of Kerala Food Culture. Third one is Understanding Colonial Influences on Kerala. Fourth one is Adaptation and Fusion of Kerala Dishes. Fifth one is Key Ingredients in Kerala's Cuisine and their Colonial Influences. The next one is Colonial Influences on Kerala's Signature Dishes. Next one is Impact of Colonialism on Modern Kerala Cuisine. And the last one is Blend of Local and Colonial in Kerala's Cuisine. See, how many of you think that this will be useful? See, the way in which a paper is to be structured is perfectly given, and even it gives you suggestions on how you write. For example, I've given with the cuisine of Kerala, a state in southern India, is known for its rich flavors and unique combination of spices. It gives you the next sentence, like Kerala's cuisine is heavily influenced by, you can see alternatives, you can see arrangements. I'm not talking about completely plagiarizing a research paper here. Don't take me wrong there. See, what I'm trying to convey across is that you can do this splendid work. You can do this splendid work by going with a particular focus on your research area and properly structuring it out. This is where Jenny comes, helpful for you. So it can write the entire paper out for you when that is not what I suggest here. It can structure it entirely for you. And uh, and how many of you use this paper? I've got lots of applications to discuss today. That's why I'm rushing through. But how many of you use this particular application, Writer, RYTR? See, this is brilliant. One of the most fastest applications available here. What it does here is that it can automate your writing. Like, there are certain stages at which we feel as if we are stuck. Like, there is something what we call as quote unquote writer's block. and we are stuck in, we can do anything, we can take forward what we are writing, and writer is there to help you out. See, when you write something, so this is a random high school level essay that I've copied from website, and I've copied it to writer, and I wanted it to automate it for me. I wanted it to write it for me. See, on your left, if you can see that, you can select your language, you can select the tone of your writing, whether it should be convincing, it should be formal, it should be a blog post, the way in which a case, the sentence case is to be, is to be registered. So when I automated it, see, when you go for it, when you select it, and you can you see that selection? Can you see the selection?
Yes.
Right. So what I've done here is that I'll read it out for you. Turning back the pages of history to ancient times, a modern man feels wonderstruck to see the hard life of human beings a few centuries ago. Our ancestors used to live in caves, ate uncooked food, and depended upon fruits and leaves, walked long distance on foot. They could not get any clothes to cover their body, and not thought of getting shelter to hide their head. Their standard of living was no better than that of. It goes on. So I just clicked, continue writing, and it wrote this for me. This is completely automated from this to this. So it wrote the entire thing for me, like just with a click, just with 2 seconds. So from 101 words to 1003, from 101 words to 213 words. So this was just a leap, double the content that we have given. So I've even changed the tone here from convincing to formal. This is what it does. So let me ask you a question. The next one would be very interesting. How many of you ever thought of like creating a PowerPoint from nothing, from scratch? If you think about a situation where you haven't got any idea for your slide, you haven't researched well enough for your slides. How many of you need a slide which can give everything, every single slide done, designed, and custom made for your research topic without even going for a Google search or reading? Okay, wonderful. Then I have an application for you here, which is this one. This is basically an application called Tome, Tome.ai. How many of you have seen this application earlier? Tome. Okay. Tome basically, I'll show you. See, can you see the screen right now?
Yes.
See, the only search that I've given here is artificial intelligence in art. Okay. And you can select how many pages you want the slide. So I've given 6 pages here. So can I show you the slide now? Completely automated slides. So first of all, they gave me what can be included in a slide, right? Then you will think as if, okay, this is just a pointer. No, this is an entirely automated AI created slide. No, I haven't done anything. This was done in a matter of around 10 to 15 seconds. Only because my net connection was very, very slow. I'll just show you the introduction slide and the conclusion slide. Okay. This is how beautifully it designs for us. The slides available. It does its research. It gives you the slides. You don't have to do anything. And this is how it has become so friendly to us. And even there are applications that can help you out in doing such works. How many of you? I'll just type it in. Do you need applications? See, I can give you. How many of you use Perplexity? There are applications like Visio. Visio is very, very impressive, my friends. Visio is, very engaging, relatively very new, and let me tell you this one. Visio, helps you out in a very different fashion. WISIO. So this is perhaps, I haven't added a slide of it. Perhaps one of the most brilliant. Let me put it, the brilliant application available out there. So Visio is something that you'll have to try. I mean, like, make sure that you try Visio. And let me also introduce to you. How many of you have used, you know, uh, Bard now? So I won't recommend you Bard or your Chat GPT in general. For your writing apps or Chat GPT. Let me tell you, your Chat GPT or your Bard or your general AI programs, assistants that you get there, it is not for research. Don't use it. So you'll have to use tailor-made applications like this. Now, we've done with writers as well, right? So we are on to slide number. Yep, we are into slide number 39. So we are looking at paraphrasers right now. So basically, what paraphrasers does here is that, well, the larger research data management has always been a problem. Say we have a 4,000 page long document available to be analyzed just for the sake of finding out certain amount of information concerning certain specific set of set of research areas. So you don't have to going through that 4,000 pages would enlighten you, but will drag down the speed of your research. This is an age of smart work. So basically, this is where paraphrasers and applications like Chat PDF. How many of you have used Chat PDF? Okay, wonderful. See, it's a very popular application. If you haven't used Chat PDF, this is where it comes handy. I have downloaded a paper called Corporate Social Responsibility Practices in India. Random paper, okay? Approaches, drivers, and barriers. I've uploaded it. Then you can ask your questions. We are, in a way, we are chatting with a PDF. So in the chat column, I have just gone with can you see that query column down there? How was the data of the study collected and analyzed? That is what my query was directly. And it gave me the answer as if the data of the study was collected from a 6-part survey developed by 2 researchers, which was sent by email to individuals designated as CSR contact from a sample of business. See, it answers your specific queries as if you don't have to read through the entire, your research paper for your analysis. And there is another interesting, research website which we often overlook. This is called Open Read. Open Read is very, very interactive. So these are general research papers become AI powered interactive papers. So you can even go for certain topics to search for. Then you can get the paper. Then you can ask the papers a question. So this is how it is designed. Now, if you are looking for, have I introduced to you any other? Do you know any other applications uh, which has got the application strength to read papers? Do you need more applications? If so, I can give you this one. This is Paper Digest for you. Paper Digest is one. Then you've got Scholarly. Then you've got WordTune. And obviously, this is a very interesting name, PDF here. So these will also be helpful for you in interacting with the papers, if you can put it that way. Now, how many of you require, like, as researchers, how many of you require data visualization, like conversion of statistical data to graphs, charts, or maps, or trees? If you require that particular, faculty for your research with assistance, this is your application. This is called Flourish. How many of you use Flourish? See, Flourish is very impressive because it gives you a large range of you know, data visualization tools. For example, if you can see the slide here, from area charts to bar charts or pie charts or donut charts or scheme graph or population pyramid, waterfall charts. So you've got all this, charts available for a free rendering, provided you have got your statistical data. So even have map projections available, like whatever, if you select certain maps, you can go with, even when the geographical analysis of, even demographic analysis, whatever you do, you've even got projections in maps available. You have your bar charts, your 3D maps, your calculators, your hierarchies available, and this is where it becomes interesting. Now, if you're looking for specific science related, schematics in particular, you can go also with this particular application. I mean, I have introduced a name, Flourish. Okay, fine. See, Flourish, and this one is, even more impressive. For example, let me say this. Can you see this one on your screen? Hope it's there, this particular screen, like where you've got immunology, microbiology, some schematics down there shown there. So this is a website called biorender. I can just put it in there. Just give me a second. Okay, this is called biorender. Wonderful. So biorender is also very impressive, because it provides you the schematics or pre-made icons and templates from almost 30 fields of life science. So this is what it does. So if you are interested in such areas, you can also go with an application code in the Retter. So this will also help you out in creating schematics like this. Now, coming to the next section, slides number, 50. How many of you need this one? AI grammar checking. So Trinka, how many of you? Okay, how many of you have used Trinka? Trinka. Trinka. How many of you use Trinka? Right, Trinka is very impressive because of the subject specificity and its implication as a research tool. We often talk about Grammarly. Grammarly is a specific grammar correction tool. But if you're looking at research writing, this will suit you. I'll tell you why. This is a random page I created for myself. I already have a page, but I created something for the seminar. But so I've gone with research fellow. I've copied a general paragraph, just like how we have got it in. Let me be very frank here. This is 10th standard error correction passage that I've copied from another paper. I think from Unacademy or Khan Academy. I've copied something here. But basically, I was showing this one. See, you may ask me the same. What is so new about it, man? I'll tell you. This is what is beautiful about Trinka. Can you see the right side? There is a smaller tab available. Can you see that? Okay. Okay, wonderful. So what you can see that I can read it out for you. Check whether your manuscript matches the target journal. All required compliance statements are present. Figures and tables are cited appropriately, and the peripheral and the author information is presented. Moreover, get AI extracted keywords and summaries and detailed information of clinical trials if mentioned. See, the way in which if you're typing in a research article, it will find out the journals that can match your research paper for publication, how much it is technically compliant, how much it is ethically compliant, and even reference details, figures and tables, clinical trial information, even if it is applicable, or keywords or summaries. It can find those details out for you. So it is not just a random grammar searching application or a grammar correction application available. It's not a random application available out there. Then you can even go with this tab out there called Journal Finder, where you can just upload your abstract and the AI engine will search through millions of published abstracts and full papers to give you the top 5 journals that publish the similar articles, and you can choose from those 5 journals, which can also, it also gives you articles which are similar to your paper and where it is already been published. So it also gives you this unique opportunity of finding out whether your the idea that you have represented in that particular paper is similar or contrasting with existing literature available out there. And how many of you have felt it even while if you are in your commute, like you want to listen to certain research papers, like something that you want to really listen on the go if you're commuting. I commute so much, so often this dilemma pops up as if I want to read something but I can't read while I'm commuting. There is a problem with the crowd, how the crowd is there out there if you're using a public transport system, or even if you're commuting in your car. You have got this problem of staying in touch. So or let me tell you, you are listening to this lecture, right? So what if somebody can convert the entire lecture to a Word document, like a perfect Word document, uh, you know with an exact transcript of whatever I have spoken out here? If you require such an application, I have got one for you, and this application is called Automic. Academic plus audio gives you Automic. How many of you have used Automic? See, it can record your meetings, record your talks, record the lectures that you are attending, and convert it live into your the documents, the text files that you require, whatever format, maybe whether it be PDF, whether it be a document, it can convert it live. So it's a powerful tool that enables us to save time much, rather than going with, and then you can play with let me make this very clear. When I tell you that this application is which to be used for this particular purpose, this paper is to be used for this particular area, I'm not asking you to use them individually. Let's take this hypothetical situation where you are recording my lecture. If you find it worthy, you are recording my lecture and you have got it in a PDF document or a Word document. You can right away upload this to your your websites like OpenRate or Chat PDF, and you can ask the question directly, like as if, like, what all are the research management applications mentioned in this particular excerpt. Then you can get all those details pointed out. So when you club these applications together, the strength is a different one altogether. So every other week there will be new apps popping up for us. So it's not even knowing these applications or how using them, but the perfect blend of these applications and to use them to our needs, that really matters. Now, coming to the last section, this is a very important part: reference management. What are the tools that you use for reference management, like in general? Like for is it a free platform? Trinka, Sotero, okay. Sotero, fine. See, that's why I haven't included Sotero or even Citation Machine or Mentally. Okay, wonderful. See, I'm going to introduce you to two very interesting reference management systems. The first one is Paperfile. Paperfile, Paperpile. Paperpile. Okay. Paperfile is a it's a very smart interface. Basically, you can have it for your iOS or Android or Word. See, where you can arrange your research papers. You can create a profile of your own, and never losing track of them, you can properly arrange it. A very simple interface where you can find out your papers, arrange them. You can use it as a search engine for your papers. You can use them as your a proper organized reference management system. uh, with the interface itself is very beautiful, and you have got a research library of your own with you. So way better than Sotero. How many of you use this one? My bib my bib is also very very impressive. If you go with my web bib, see how simple the interface is. I've just gone for Donna Haraway's Cyborg Manifesto. It's the particular scene in which we are talking. Well, Cyborg Manifesto, I've searched for it and it comes with these. It's very fast as well. Let me tell you, make this very clear. My web is also very fast. You can go with your websites, videos, journals, or anything like a regular, reference management site. You can go with your references here properly, and you can select your styles over here with from your American medical associations to your MLA, or from your APA to your scholar. You can go with a large range of sites here. So we'll talk about artificial intelligence, and as we move towards the end of it, obviously I'll have to talk about whether this is cheating or not. I saw a question popping up very early, whether there's whether this particular exercise that we have is cheating, or whether it is it's a rightful thing to do. It much depends upon how you use them. Most of these applications can be used to generate even complete research papers. See, wielding the tool gives you the power to select from whether you'll have to you know use it the right way or the wrong way around. So it all depends upon you how you wield this tool. For example, if you go with a rephraser and a paper finder, I mean, I'm not telling you that this is the way it is to be used, but you've got a resource and you've got the perfect tool. You can use it in different ways. For example, if you got a proper research paper, in certain applications available which I have mentioned you can club together two or three papers. This is a common type of plagiarism that you see nowadays. You club together 2 to 4 papers, extract the common ideas, combine them together, use a writer application, and you come up with a new paper. See, ethics is something that entirely depends. When if you ask me whether I do it, the way in which I use my reference management system, the way in which I use all these tools, is that I use it to make my hard work into smart work. As if I want to search for certain research papers or documents which has got mentions about my research, I can search out for it. I can save my time there. I can extract information from those papers to seek out the specific queries that I have in mind to properly manage my research and move on. See, that itself saves me a lot of time. Even for creating presentation, even the presentation that you see here is basically done using Canva. If you ask somebody whether isn't it good if we do it in PowerPoint all on our own, even custom laying custom settings of our background. But when you go for Canva, you can get you can any number of presets, custom templates for us to use. So make your work more easier using all these applications available out there for grab, and move on with it. That is what I really recommend. See, plagiarism, even often I hear people talking about AI as if plagiarism is like a big problem as with AI. Even before the arrival of AI, the problem of plagiarism has still been there. So with more technologies, the it is almost as comparing to a thief in an earlier day breaking down the the front door to enter and and comparing him to a new thief who uses blow torches to uh, to properly carve out a vein. uh, See, it's all about your perspective. Use it well. This is a great tool, and we should be so lucky to have born in this particular age where our research has never been so easier. And the best part is that there are even better applications to come in the coming days. Like even the last weeks, we saw a launch of at least 20 to 25 applications out there. The concept is to stay updated and stay focused, like to check out regularly for new applications coming. For me, as I'm focused on this particular area, I'll have to look out for it. And as a researcher, this is very important for us. Like, I mean, just I'll tell you how fastly it's progressing. Just 4 weeks before or 5 weeks before, it would have been even far from, very distant from a dream to think about an application that gives you even updates about papers which are published even yesterday. So now it's a reality. We don't know what is next. So technology is always mesmerizing us, and applicant don't never. I mean, forget about this larger ethical debate that we are talking about. It largely, stems out from all those debates that we are doing in our seminars, whether this is ethical, whether it is not ethical, whether we are to use it or not use it. Either you use it, or even if you use it, or if you don't use it, the world will move on. The world is progressing very fastly. Use the tools, and use the tools that will empower your research, and then move on from here to a better place. So, from where you are to a better state of academic research. So that is what I highly recommend. Even I have taken at least 13 minutes more than what I'm supposed to take. So if there are any queries, we'll address them, and we'll call it a day. So, are there any questions in particular to be answered? Are there any questions? So,
Yeah, it was an extensive one. Thank you for introducing us to the different tools, sir. Sir,
thank you so
are
much.
these tools, do we need to pay for these tools, or are they freely available?
See, most of them are free, first of all. See, there are premium services available in many of these sites. If you take a yearly plan, if you can afford it, that is well and good. But you can go for the free trials, see for yourself. Don't, before buying anything, just go for the free trial and see for yourself whether this suits you or not. And that is very important. Like, what is your focus and what particular area you're working on is very important. See, obviously, best things comes with the price. So, obviously, when you want the premium service, you will have to pay the premium cost as well. And even then, I'd suggest that many of these applications provide you, like, 80% or 90% of their services at a free cost, but the rest of the 10%, if you can make it up with the effort that you are putting in, it's okay. You can bypass the so-called premium, and you can go with your work. But obviously, premium will provide you more services. Most of these are, free versions are also available out there. So don't worry about it. It's a 80-20 problem. Yeah, yeah. It's purely based on the precision of data available out there. It's not even the content itself is for, if you, I can't even compare any of the research review application, I mean, or literature search applications that I've introduced now with ChatGPT. It is very, very far. And the thing is that it's not just related to the the broad spectrum of content available out there, but I'm specifically talk when you're talking about research, you have to specifically talk about the precision of the data that can be accessed online. So I'm specifically talking about the precision. uh, it's very different. You are going for a how many of you have used Bing actually? So Bing basically gives you the new chat option of Bing powered by AI. It gives you this, you know, whether you will have to go with the precise data or completely fantasized versions. In ChatGPT, you can't trust it. The trustworthiness of the application itself is not made for research. That is why I'm saying again and again that if you are into serious research, you shouldn't go with your ChatGPT. Even the rewriting, the you know, the structural changes that you make in your writing using ChatGPT itself is convoluted. See, you can't have your word in, like the this there, I mean, when in comparison with applications which can assist you in writing. So precision is a problem, fidelity to the subject area of research is a problem, and using application of general nature to a specific task is a problem. So you can encounter n number of issues out there. So that is why I highly recommend using not just any other artificial intelligence assistants, but specific research assistants. That is what I would that I would say. Research assistance in particular is to be used as far as our references and researchers are concerned. The, there is no lack of choices out there. Every day, a new application is popping out, and it's very, as every single day passes by. See, I've been tracking this from the last, from the last summer, where you see applications coming up every now and then. See, a fault of an application is immediately rectified by another application that is being released the next week or the week after. And the progression is even more faster now, as if every week a new application is coming up, or updated versions of the already existing applications are now being generated up. There is big money involved in this business, and there is big results coming out as well. So leave your regular chat assistants or your AI assistants behind and go with proper research assistants if you are looking for research. And so research specificity is very, very important. You can even have distinctions between all these research assistants with respect to the disciplinarity of your topic, the specific discipline that you are talking about. Yeah, will also have specific applications. For example, if you go with schematics, which I've introduced now, a general nature of schematics, can be explored in this one. Scientific nature of my, rendering scientific schematics can be explored in biorender, whereas flourish is of a general nature. So even within the scientific, the research specific application, you can see this distinction. So with lots and lots of choices, and no lag as far as specificity is concerned, I think it will be it'll be great if you use these specific applications rather than going with the general, and general application, because there are grant teams working for these applications 24/7. When you have people working on specific questions that you raise in relation to your academic life, you have academicians out there helping you out. Go with it. uh, Never go for general applications, and that is where we move on from properly organized, cataloged, curated research from a general search engine. If you ask me, I've told you about site, right? SCIT or FC. Those are actually like Google for research. Like, that is a change that you'll have to somehow face. See, we have all overcome, as academicians, we have all overcome the Google error. We have moved on. We have very, very we have got very, very specific tools. We have from moving on to library to shelves, even to we are at a stage where we can browse through books in a matter of seconds, or even under 1 second you can go through all those books. We have traveled a long way, and we are becoming more specific. So staying on with this specific application is the key. ahead. So that's my answer to that. I can convert the slides to a PDF and I can share to Betty, ma'am. Can I share that with you? I'll share the PDF. Sure, 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 sure. I can do that. No problem. So, are there any more questions, or I know there is no other way. Even AI can. I don't. I don't believe that AI can help you with your lunch. Maybe that's why everyone has gone silent. There's. If there are any queries, you can directly mail me if possible. I can share you my ID as well as my manage. You can either mail me or you can even drop in a WhatsApp message. Right. I've shared them both. So these are the things. But and how many of you regularly use? I mean, YouTube viewers. How many of you are there out there? There are any number of YouTube channels out there which has got reviews of AI related research applications. So go for it and watch it. Like it's so updated that at least there are 50 to 53, 50 to 60 channels which I myself uh, subscribed to, like in the last 6 months or so. So there things are going in such a fast pace that you will have to stay focused with this particular field of research. So it was a beautiful art to master, and I hope that everyone uh, follow these uh, blogs as well as newsletters coming out there regarding applications in AI applications in assisting with your research. So that's what I request. So thank you so much for listening.
I think all the questions were answered. Is there any more questions? So, like you said, I think everyone is feeling a bit hungry right now. So, I think we'll conclude the session. So, it was indeed a very informative session to begin with. We extend our sincere appreciation to Mr. J.S. Anandakrishnan for a truly enlightening session. Your insights into the profound impact of AI on research processes have left us with a newfound understanding of how technology is revolutionizing the way we approach academic exploration. We are deeply grateful for the time and effort you invested in sharing your expertise with us. I would also like to thank all the participants and as well as the faculty members. And I would also like to remind that we'll have a short break and we'll resume our session by 2:30 with the paper presentations. So thank you everyone for attending this meeting, and also special thanks to J.S. Anandakrishnan for giving such an informative session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You can leave the meeting. We'll resume at 2:30. On research processes have left us with a newfound understanding of how technology is revolutionizing the way we approach academic exploration. We are deeply grateful for the time and effort you invested in sharing your expertise with us. I would also like to thank all the participants and as well as the faculty members. And I would also like to remind that we'll have a short break and we'll resume our session by 2:30 with the paper presentations. So thank you everyone for attending this meeting, and also special thanks to J.S. Ananthakrishnan for giving such an informative session. Thank you.